the Bollinger Bands on one side or another with a strong close. All right? So here's an example of today, actually. And let me use my marker to go one by one through these examples. So basically, here you can see an example where the Bollinger Bands were contracted here and going sideways. And you can see that the 1 minute candle right in here has a very bullish candle with no wick. That's very important. I'll talk about that a bit later. This one has a bit of a wick here, so that's why. And you can see upside, same for here, contraction, 1 minute breaching, downside. Here too, contraction, then the 1 minute impulse. Here too, contraction, then the 1 minute impulse. So those are a few examples.
Sorry, Chris.
Yeah,
to interrupt you. This can be used with range bars. I think very good.
Oh yeah, maybe interesting. Never looked at that, to be honest.
I've looked at range candle. How many pips you use for this big momentum 1 minute candles?
You mean the target?
No, target. This initial entry is based, first is contraction, and the second thing is to use momentum 1 minute candle, this big with no wick.
Yes.
How many pips is the candle usually?
Well, it varies. I would say you're talking about here 2 pips, I guess, usually. Yeah, it's very small. So the stop loss is usually, I'll talk to the trade management details in a second. It's a half a pip basically under the candle low of this 1 minute bar, and the take profit is 6 pips.
6 pips, yeah.
Yeah.
Typically, yeah, for 1 minute.
Yeah. So it on average it gives a kind of a 5 pip profit, and the loss is typically 2.5, and kind of you're looking at a 50-50 here. So you just have because of the good money management here, 2-to-1, you get some profit at the end of the day here. So let's take a look at some optimizers, because I just showed you the examples that work nicely, but there are some examples, maybe you could find them already, where you could say, hey, that didn't work out maybe too well. So there's some optimizers that make the strategy a bit better. There is a gray area, of course, where you're looking at what do you decide or what do you define as closer necessarily. And sometimes it could get close together but not tight. And in many cases then you see a kind of quietness for maybe 1 or 2 minutes where you have a doji, and it just gets even a bit more quiet. It's almost like it's waiting to be set up for that explosion. So that's a tip there to have that patience. That's actually basically the goal of the comment. Second is that the first breakout must have a close strong. That is pretty important, because if you have a wick there, it doesn't show confidence of that breakout, and I'm skipping it. Very simple. Has to have a strong close. Then, of course, doing our homework basically and looking at very important resistance and support levels in the market, very important as well. We'll be talking about that next week, by the way. Just can tell you right away that we have a webinar a week from now, same day, same time, on resistance and support levels as well. So make sure to watch that. But doing that is very important, so that you realize that, for example, there is a 1 hour top at 130, for example, just like we had on the euro dollar today. You don't want to go long at 129.98, for example, especially if we're not approaching it the first time. So let's take a look again at the same chart of today. And you can see that this green circle in the middle here, you can see there's a bit of a wick there. So that would disqualify that one. Then we have the second example, a green circle, and here we're at basically that bullish candle closes at 130. Of course, a major resistance level. Top of the wedge, we've bounced off that level this week probably, I think, twice, I believe. So that would definitely disqualify this first approach for sure. So as we already said, the trail stop or the stop in general is half a pip behind the high or low of the minute candle. And yeah, taking profit for 6 pips. And yeah, it is a very fast strategy. So, you might want to take a break after a while, but there is a small edge here. You want to take a look at the ATR, but basically, usually it just says the confirmation of what we see anyhow in Europe, or the London session, I should say, or the Asian session. You would often see the Asian session then being lower than 2 of an ATR. But, you could use that, I guess, as an extra. But so let me see if there are some questions. Not really. I see how to control money management. Well, basically, that's just because how to control that is by going for a good reward, right? And limiting your risk. Oh, okay. Gotcha, Lazar. Awesome. That's it, I guess. Yeah. So that's basically the whole idea. Follow the 1 minute candle. We can go a bit back to the last here, and it's you can see that in this case. Let me draw here the entry of this one. It looks like it's 74. Well, the 6 pips got taken, pretty easily here. This was a very strong example actually, because here's 129.74, and it went all the way in a few minutes to 129.96. 29.96, yeah. So that's like 22 pips. That's quite a big move. Although we had a very small dip here. If you would have used a half a pip trail stop, probably got stopped out maybe here then. Still, that was a very strong move, but this one was an easy 6 pips in that case. Alrighty. Let's move on.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite scalping system before I went to full price action, but still it's very good, and I have used it in a lot of trading sessions before. We do it on 5-minute time frames, so basically it's not strict scalping. It can be used for swing scalping. So we need to concentrate on hourly pivot points, so our targets can be a bit bigger than 1 minute time frame. So what we use is EMA 34 and 55. EMAs are both close, so EMA 34 and 55. Also, we use 2 stochastics. First is 813, and second is 31.3. So this one, you should put it under the D%. So the first is K, the second is D, and that D is 1 and 1 on both, 3 is slowing. So stochastics should be applied each to the same chart, to the same chart indicator window. So they're overlaid. So both stochastics are overlaid under the one indicator window. I presume that you already know how to do it. Just drag, after you put stochastic 813, you just drag the second onto it, and you will see them both overlaid. A MACD 2-line indicator with a 34, 89, and 34 settings. Those are important EMA numbers, and also those serve as exponential MACD. So just use this MACD 2-line indicator. Hourly pivot point indicator, I already told you this one I cannot provide you with, but you can find it under the IBFX. You can buy it, or you can Google it if you know where. So entry long, it's the same for short. I will show you how to enter long. It's just opposite for short entries. So blue 34 EMA should be above red 55 EMA. The first thing to watch for. The second thing is MACD blue line needs to be above red line to confirm longer term trend. Stochastic, at least one of them, should be recently oversold at the 20 level and be crossed up, or it should be headed up. I prefer to use hourly pivot points when scalping. This is because hourly pivot points are more accurate when scalping on lower time frames than daily pivot points. They are much more accurate because that indicator uses hourly closes of the price, and when you scalp, you don't need daily closes. You need hourly closes because you will scalp within minutes, which are within hours, not within daily lines. So use hourly pivot point indicator. And I will show you how to do it on practical example. Chris, next slide, please.
Yep.
This is our practical example of how to scalp it. Here, the first example, starting from the left to right, we can see that the price, first MACD, longer term, it's to the upside. So we need to go to the upside. Then we see that stochastic touched the 20 line and headed north. We also see double bottom. Always take into account other things such as double bottom, candlesticks, momentum candlestick, just to be additionally sure about your entry. And when you see that the price has touched 34 EMA, 34 is above 55, all prerequisitions and prerequisites for the entry are done, so we can enter the trade. So we immediately trade after the candle close and the stochastic points to the north. So you see in this practical example.
This one here?
No, the first to the left. No, to the left. One more to the left. No.
Exactly,
yeah, that's. But I did well. This is a pure luck trade because this I think is caused by some news. But eventually it went. Of course, it went in the right direction. All EMAs and indicators were lined in. Another is sell example. You see the second example. We see 30. We see the 34 is below 55 EMA. Also, stochastic are above 80. And we have EMA, MACD, EMA2 line, red above blue. So basically, this was the signal to go short. Taking into account that these are 5-minute candles, this scalp is nevertheless very good for some, well, scalp swing for some, anywhere to 5 to 20 pips is okay for scalp swings. Next example is again to the long side. You see stochastics are lined up. We see they are heading to the north. We see MACD, and we see again some sort of double bottom, and we can enter the trade. Again, the price went according to our entry. The next example is...
And the entry was based on candle close, you said, right?
Yeah, always candle close. Always look for stochastic after the candle close, because stochastic need to be headed up.
Yes. So
below,
in that case...
touching 20, and it doesn't necessarily needs to be below. If there is a consolidation, as it was prior to this first example, it's okay to touch it, because also the candles were touching 34 EMAs. On this last example, which I was telling about, the price went through EMAs, but still 34 stayed above 55.
Yes.
And stochastics were heading up, and also MACD is going to, it was just slightly below, but yet it was heading up. So we could have taken that trade at the bottom, but it also, even if we hadn't taken it at the bottom, if we had taken it one candle after it spiked up above 34 blue EMA, it would be also good for some 15-point scalp. So basically, if you just stick to the rules, you would be okay, but sometimes you need to make a common judgment, a common sense. So basically, this could even be good after this MACD cross to the upside on the next candle close. Also, next example, MACD is above, so blue line is above red line. It's heading to the north side. Stochastics are also heading to the north side. EMAs are heading upward. We see a trend here. It's basically trend. So when we see a trend and we see that those EMAs are diverted, we can take safely our trade. This is also good trade, and also the next one. So this is really one of my favorite scalping systems on 5 minutes time frame. And you see these pivot points are much important because take for example this last example. You see we have all prerequisites for a long entry. Price has been touching, no problem, it's visible. Price has been touching the red EMA, but still 34 is above 55, and we have long wicks to the downside. So buyers are still stronger than sellers. We also see a big level, but hourly pivot point. It's just below 29.70 where we should put our stops. So, for example, we should take into account that all prerequisites are done. Also, our stochastics are point to the upside because it happens that the price jump up EMAs. So stochastics aren't below 20. It's just touching 20 level. It's okay. It's okay. So we can do a long trade, and this happened to be a very good scalp to the long side. And definitely, where should we put our stop loss? Just below the support in this example. If we go short, we look for the next. We look for next R1 or R2, for example. If we go short, then that is supposed to be our stop loss. So with this system, stops are really tight, and you need to use hourly pivot point indicator, really, for these kind of trades. We also could have had another push to the upside just prior to this last example. We see again that stochastics have been just below 20 and heading up. Also MACD lines are similarly close, but if we use common sense, the trend is still to the upside. We could have taken this also, this previous swing low. We could have taken a long trade. So when you have a trend, you can enter. If you don't do one intraday, single intraday trade, you can have 3 or 5 entries in the trend direction when you scalp on a lower time frame. So this is, I also published this strategy on Forex Ball and on Admiral Markets Cerebral Creation blog. So this is also a good example for a very good strategy. So if you have any questions, I can answer now, because we will move to our next strategy. It's called extreme Bollinger Band scalping. It's just for extreme scalpers, for scalpers who wants to be full of adrenaline when they scalp. So if you have any questions about this scalping system, you can ask me. I will be glad to answer. If we don't have any questions,
let's see. There is a question indeed. The resistance support MPP levels written by the side, are those hours? Are those values hourly or daily?
Yeah, only use hourly indicator, and this this indicator will just print hourly levels. When hourly candle closes, it will print out new levels valid for 1 hour. So you use those levels. Those are dynamic levels of support and resistance because they change every hour. You need to use them in this scalping method. So use hourly pivot points. That's my advice.
Yeah, I don't see any questions coming in except the fact that how many pips is the stop loss, but that's always dependent on where you enter. But the stop loss position is always, as Tarantula said here, right?
Yes, here, because usually your indicator will print out supports and resistances just below those swing lows and swing highs. We can see on on our last example that indicator printed the support level just below these wicks, and it's very accurate. So in this last example, I would use stop loss just below 29.70. So if you go for long, you can use S1 as your first stop loss, but 2 or 3 pips below S1. Or if you want to use tighter stop loss, you can use S2. But I usually use S1 because it gives me really tight stop losses. If you go for a short trade, you use R1 stop loss, R1 because it will be just above last swing high. But nevertheless, it's pretty accurate, so you can use it. You can use it to your advantage.
We have 3 other questions actually at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
If this strategy is only, you recommend it only for the euro?
Yes, I don't know. I didn't use it on other pairs. You can demo trade it, so be sure to tell me if it's good on other pairs. I don't know. For Euro USD, it's good. Really, I use it a lot. Really, I don't use it today because I do pure price action methods and I use MACD and such things. But this strategy I recommend. It's very accurate. It's really good. You can use it really to your advantage. Try it. It doesn't cost you anything. You should try it.
And then we have, let's see, maximum stop loss for scalping. What do you think? Maximum stop loss?
Well, anywhere from maximum 15 points. 15 points.
Any exceptions for the strategy?
No. Use your common sense, of course. You don't trade it mechanically. You need to use your common sense also. That's why you're not a EA, a robot. You're a man, so you need to use your common sense. If the market is all day has been open to the long side of trading, try to find long setups. You don't need any indicator for that. But if you see a big price movements, big retracements, then you should use that MACD over there to see if it indeed went to short side from the long side or vice versa. So you just need to use also your common sense. You cannot trade it mechanically. But it's a really good strategy.
Yeah, and what hours? Yeah, what hours of the European session? That's always the first 3 hours is the best.
First 3 hours of each session.
Yes. And then what is a stress test?
Stress test. Stress test. Well, I need to define. Stress test is usually performed by central banks to see how commercial banks are doing. Lately there weren't any big important stress tests, but if you remember, maybe a stress test 2 years ago when European banks were very close to bankruptcy, and you know what I'm talking about, when euro fell down from the highs to the lows, to maybe historical lows. And if you remember that time, there were some stress tests which were issued by central banks and by European central banks. So if you remember, there were a lot of volatility in the market. And I think that the next stress test should be applied in the next year, because they need to allow time for European commercial banks to go into quality of assets and so on. So basically, how can I say, it's a stress test which European central banks are holding to see how their commercial banks are doing. So that's basically one of things that you shouldn't be stressed after, because next stress test should be next year. So in this year we shouldn't have any stress tests. So all Euro area banks should be concerned in the next stress test.
And then we have 2 more questions.
I think the ECB is holding stress tests usually.
Yeah. Yes, and then we have 2 more strategies. 2 more questions. Let's see. One is about the hourly pivot points. Which one was the one you recommended earlier on?
I recommend IBFX hourly pivot point indicator, IBFX.
And the second question is, do you recommend this strategy for newbies?
Yes, exactly. For the newbies, exactly. There's a strategy you should also take care of. Also try Chris strategy, but this is also a very newbie-friendly strategy.
And last, what is the percent of profit, or what is the winning percentage and losing percentage roughly?
Oh, well, you know, it always depends of your of your common sense. But with this strategy, if you use it mechanically, I don't know. I never traded except for maybe my first couple of months of trading. I traded mechanically, but then I learned to not to trade mechanically, then to use my common sense. And I don't know, but if you want to do it mechanically, I think that it at least is 60-40. I think win to loss percentage. But you should trade it. You should trade it with your common sense. Try to demo it, and after that go it live. But try, for example, at least 1 month. Give it 1 month of trial, then you do it live.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. I mean, it's certain things. If you look at the charts, for example, just you can avoid by analysis certain patterns, certain candlesticks. You can use all the knowledge that we have gone through in these webinars, and of course that you are applying to the charts yourself, which is very important. And then you have a certain strategy, but then you still build up, as you develop as a trader, a filter of experience that will help increase that.
Screening time will always help you a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the last question then, by using this strategy, do we need to take account for the candle patterns?
No. On a 5-minute time frame, they're not so important. You can take into account trend lines. For example, in this example, we could also place a good 1 to 3 trend lines. Also, we can take into account wicks. So those are not patterns. Those are wicks and trend lines. So we can take it into account on 5-minute time frame, but not other patterns which we were talking about last few webinars. Not those patterns are traded only on higher time frames. For example, now I have opened up 1 hour time frame of Euro USD, and I can see a dark cloud cover. I can see dark cloud cover pattern, but still the price is trying to go up. If this pattern is valid, we should go lower. We shouldn't surpass 30.65. Point that level to your charts. 30.65 is our next big level of resistance. So this dark cloud is okay for anyone who wants to short, but stop should be just about 30.65. I'm not trading now because it's 7 o'clock at the moment, but this should retrace a bit. It shouldn't go above 30.65 really. So dark cloud cover on 1 hour time frame, just for your reference. And just to answer this last question, we don't use patterns on 5-minute time frame.
Alrighty.
We can use trend lines. In addition to these EMA, dynamic level support and resistance, we can use trend lines.
Do you use THV Cobra?
Cobra? No.
Scalping?
No. Believe me. Well, it's a guy from Forex Factory, but I don't trade those systems anymore. Guys, first of all, we are trying to help you to achieve better results. By achieving better results, you will trade sometimes without those indicators. You will see in any time you won't use indicators so much. You will use only candlesticks, only patterns, only Fibonacci's, and so on. So for scalping, it's okay to use systems like this. But for other way of trading, no. THV Cobra, I know a guy, but I also heard that that system has suffered a big loss. And that the guy actually from Serbia told me that he used the system on his account and that he traded it mechanically. He went strictly by the rules, and he lost a lot. So, you know, if you trade the system, and if that system isn't based on price action, it will eventually fail. Scalping is an example when actually you don't need to use an exact price action to trade it because it's used on lower time frames. So basically indicators can help you on 5-minute time frame, of course on 1-minute time frame, because price is not so important on those time frames. For big institutional traders and hedge fund managers, hourly closes, 4-hourly closes, daily, even monthly are important. And for retail traders, 5-minute, 1-minute, you know, 15-minute, even for some institutional traders who scalp a lot for their investors and for their investment funds, it's okay. But you know, big banks like to work on higher time frames. So actually, just trading strict price action on 5-minute and 15-minute, it's even better to use indicators. But you know, THV Cobra, I don't recommend it. That's my personal opinion. Maybe you won't agree with me. I know what the system is. I just don't have faith on that sort of indicators, so I wouldn't use it. You can try to demo it to see if it suits for you, but you know, I use those two strategies which I present you. So basically, I know what Cobra is, but I don't recommend it. Okay, extreme scalping system. This system is also one of, how can I say, very simple systems. Basically, very simple systems that uses only two indicators: Bollinger Bands set on 21 and 2 deviation, an RSI indicator set on 14 with 70 and 30 levels applied to each chart. So we use bar charts for this. We don't use candlesticks. We use bar charts, and what we're looking for is the price to move above the upper or lower Bollinger Bands and RSI raised above the 70 line or below the 30 line at the same time. I will show you. It's very simple. Target is middle Bollinger line, stop loss is anywhere from 5 to 7 pips, and we use it on 1 minute and bar charts exclusively. I did it only with Euro USD. Chris, you can show the chart. This is how this system is done. So we wait for the price to, for example, this first example to the left, we wait for the price to pull out of Bollinger Bands. But we also need at the same time close or spike above RSI 70 level. So immediately after the candle has been closed and RSI went above 70, not below, not at, it needs to be just above or below it, we enter the trade. So immediately after the candle has been closed, that's why it's called extreme Bollinger Band scalping. And we see the target is usually the middle line or the lower line if you go for a long trade. First and second trades were successful, and the third trade was of course a loss. So, but it's only 5 pips to 7 pips loss. And again, the third trade and fourth trade were valid. So if you stick to 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio, you would be okay with this strategy. But you see, this strategy is not suitable for each trader because it really carries a high level of risk and it needs a lot of concentration. You don't take into account any pattern, any longer time frame. You're not interested whether the price is bullish or bearish. You just trade the Bollinger Bands breakout with RSI. So it's not important where the price is, where the price will be. It's only for extreme scalpers. Try to use it on EURUSD, demo it, and if you're successful, you can make money with this strategy. You need only 4 or 5 good trades to be good for that particular day. And setups are very often, they're very often happening on this particular strategy. So you see, for the long trade, price needs to be below Bollinger, but also RSI needs to be just to close below 30. For short trades, bar needs to be above Bollinger, but also RSI needs to be above 70. 5 to 7 pips stop loss, target middle Bollinger or lower Bollinger band. If you see that we have a momentum to the, for example, downside, then we can prolong our target a few more pips. So it's okay to use it. You need a broker with very tight spread. So again, Admiral is excellent for these kind of strategies. If your broker has 2 pip spread on majors, don't use this strategy. So again, you need to use the right broker for scalping, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So these were systems we presented to you. I really cherry-picked those systems, indicator-based systems. So try to use it, try to demo it, and try to find if it suits for your style of trading. Of course, when you scalp, you need to use more leverage trades. So try to demo it, of course, first.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That's a very good and valid point. Demoing and practicing it is key. Absolutely. There's a question from Leo. Price moves beyond the BB lines. Mean to close beyond BB lines?
Yes, it needs to close beyond, of course.
Yeah.
But at the same time, RSI needs to be below or above those levels. For long trades, it needs to be below 30. Not touching it, not just above. It needs to be just below or below it, as we can see on these practical examples. It's not hard. You see on those examples, it's real, but you need to be really concentrated for this kind of scalping. So, Chris, do you have anything to add, or do we have any questions?
We do actually. One more about the Bollinger Band value.
Mm-hmm. Bollinger Band value 21, and
21,
the
okay.
deviation is 2.
It's here.
21 and 2.
There it is.
So the first setting is 21, deviation is 2.
Those are the values.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. You can leave it on this chart for a moment. If anyone wants to write down still these values, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll write it down. It's okay.
And I don't see any other questions at the moment. Yeah, indeed, Alessandro, exactly. Yeah, the first 3 hours of each session. So once again, just in the meantime, a reminder that next week we are looking forward to see you regarding the resistance and support webinar. That will be great fun. Again, the same day, June the 6th. Then a week after, we have actually intra-week strategies and volume strategies.
Yeah, longer time frame strategies. 4-hour strategies daily for people who cannot sit all day in front of the computer. There are people who work, who are employed on day job. So we will explain some strategies that are suitable for them.
For these type of traders, absolutely.
Yes, of course.
Great. Not everyone indeed can monitor these charts that intensely. Doesn't mean you can't trade Forex indeed. And then we have June 20, we have a practical guide how to use stop losses. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yes, that will be one of most important webinars. Stop losses. Yeah.
Looking forward to that. So that's the next 3 topics there. Looking forward to those. Christian, well, basically you can get the link of the recording on and Daniel's at the website. Tarantula, I think you told us earlier once, but I forgot.
Yes, I will find it. Just give me a second. I will provide you with the link here. Video archive. So there are a lot of archive videos. Let's see. Oh, this is our local. Let me just go to global admiral markets. Give me just 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Here it is. Video archive. Great. This is the link. I will type it here.
Well, while Tarantula is typing in the link, just want to give you a heads up about something very exciting, I think. It's going to be a webinar on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and you'll be hearing me actually looking at the charts and doing some analysis and some trading as well. So hope to see you on Tuesday, June the 4th. So that will be next week actually already. We'll be starting 7:45 UK time, plus minus 1.5 hours. Let's see how exactly could be a bit longer, but time will tell.
Guys, do you see the link? I don't know if you see the link. I typed it, but I don't know if everyone can see it. Do you see it, Chris?
And wait, maybe let me try to see if you sent it to me somewhere.
Yeah, maybe I sent it to you, but I cannot find the option to see, for everyone to see it.
Wait, let me check something. Yeah, I found it. I'll type it, I'll paste it in the
copy paste it. Yeah. Just copy paste it. Here.
There it is.
Interesting, I cannot send it to audience, only to organizers and panelists.
Huh. Okay. So I hope that everyone should see that there.
Yeah, those are video archives. So this session will also be uploaded. I think it will be uploaded maybe tomorrow, so you can review it again if you want.
By the way, do you recommend any books about scalping?
To be honest, I haven't read any books about scalping. I have all done it by trial and error by myself. I really am not into reading books about Forex market because my principle is always the same. Screening time. Experience and screening time are best books you can ever read about Forex.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Actually, this dark cloud cover is giving us a nice short trade. It went to the top 30.55, now it's 30.46. Well, scalping in these hours can also be sometimes profitable because price isn't doing much, but if it's close to the top of it, if it's close to the bottom, if it's went above its full ATR projection, we can scalp also in between 6 and 7 p.m. So in between 6 and 8 p.m. I would say, because price is still very close to the top, and I cannot say I'm sure, but it shouldn't have a momentum below 30.65. It usually stops just below the big resistance, and it retraces to the downside. So what I'm saying, sometimes scalping in between 6 and 8 o'clock can be profitable if ATR has been overshot and or if we have a big resistance to the upside or support to the downside. So 30.65 is our next resistance level for tomorrow. Tomorrow, yeah. Let's see what Asia will give us. I will provide the new analysis just after the London opens up, so you will all have the opportunity to read it.
Here's,
I
by the
don't
way,
think
here's, by the way, the link that you can use, Admiral Markets Education Webinars, where you sign up for example, the webinar we just had, Scalping the Market, you can see here. And here you can see the live market announcement here, 6:45 a.m. GMT, which is on 4th, 5th, and 6th, representing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. All right, so you can see here support and resistance as well. So you can sign up for any of these which suits your time schedule. Alrighty? So I hope to see you then. It'll be cool.
Yeah. I hope to see you again too. So don't forget to like Admiral Markets in social media, Facebook, and we will talk again soon. So
yes.
guys, take your pips into your pockets and be very calm, because we will provide you with analysis every day. Cheers and bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
The organizer